Hey guys, Gordon here. I just love it when I get packages from Kevin. He always sends me a little magic because the man is a king of terrible guns. And a lot of the old school guns are terrible guns, and this is no exception. In fact, it's probably the defining terrible old school gun. Today we have on the show a gun called the Evil Omen. This gun is an answer to a question that no one ever asked and no one ever wanted. And it is filled with all sorts of little things that I love about these old school guns. This gun is, some history. It was released in 2003, 2004. Price tag was about $450 originally. So it was a mid-end electronic gun. It has autococker threads, and for a while, Evil or PMI was trying to become a hard goods company. This was before they were bought by Key and before Key even existed, really, actually. And so they came out with a brand called Evil, which was going to be all their hard goods. And so they had the Piranha as their low-end gun. They had the Pimp, which was a private label Impulse, basically, as their high-end gun, and then this was their mid-end gun, the Evil Omen. Like I said, it's cocker threaded. It has these. It has a detonator regulator. These were actually, it turns out, manufactured all by the same people who do Ninja regulators. So yeah. Otherwise, this gun is the unique feature that I love about it is that it is a closed bolt blowback style gun, right? So most blowbacks, stack tube or inline, so Tippmans and Spiders and Azodins, those type of guns are all open bolt. The bolt comes back, it's being blown back by air from the valve. It comes back and it goes and sits on a sear, and then you pull the trigger and the sear drops and you fire again. And so the bolt is open in between each shot, and that's a good thing because it turns out the blowbacks are extremely fast cycling guns, very fast cycling guns. There are guns that cycle faster, but by and large there aren't. Combined with their heavy reciprocating mass, that's why they kick a lot. It's because they cycle very, very quickly, and they have a lot of heavy weight in them. So this gun works like a Spider in that it is blowback, so it blows back, but then the bolt setup is on a separate spring than the hammer setup, and it comes back forward. So every shot, it does shoot like an autococker in that it kicks back, cocks the hammer, and this is springs forward. So this, number one, no one should have ever thought this was a good idea for an operating system of a gun, because, as we all know, closed bolt really isn't any sort of advantage. In fact, in many ways, it's a disadvantage. But they wanted to make a closed bolt Spider, so they did, and so this causes many problems. Number one is we were talking about how fast Spiders cycle. Well, if you, instead of having the bolt stay back on a sear and then you releasing it to fire, so it's open bolt, so the bolt stays open for a nice long time in between each shot, this thing just goes really, 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 really fast. And so the time that the bolt is actually open to accept a new paintball is super, super, super short. So it has this system here. I don't know if you guys will see this, but it has these those yellow arms come across. They are stored in here, and when the bolt comes all the way back is when they get pushed out into the breech. And so what it's supposed to do is, this is a side feed gun, and the paintball is supposed to be resting, waiting in the side feed, and then when the bolt comes back, the fingers just sort of gently prod it into the breech. Now, this, of course, also causes huge problems because when the finger comes across, it's very, very thin, and so the next paintball will want to try and load behind it. So then there's another little finger behind that one, right, to hold the ball stack up. And all of this has to fit in this side feed bracket anyway. Now, it has a vertical feed technically, but it is side feed, like I said. So that was marketed as a feature, and it actually does kind of work as an anti-chop feature because those plastic arms are kind of gentle. It means that they won't push a ball in unless it's in the right location. So it does kind of work like that, but it doesn't really, and it poses huge problems, like I've said. Because what happens is they had to come out with a special set of arms that were okay for using force feed loaders because they push so hard down, and that was bending those fingers. It's just a system that nobody ever asked for, and like I said, it's a byproduct of how fast this thing cycles back and forth, and nobody could figure out another way to load it fast enough, even though we had things like halos. Halo wasn't fast enough to shove a ball in, so they had to actually build a mechanical linkage to push the ball into the chamber every time. So anyway, it's a pain in the ass to clean. You have this weird offset feed neck, and they kind of work. I don't know. Anyway, here's the other problem with it. So we remember blowbacks, right? They set it on a sear usually. Well, this one doesn't have that, and it also has, you know, those cam arms, right? So there's actually a bunch of force on this when it's all the way back, and it's not getting caught by a sear. So you actually have they call it the recock adjustment, which basically adds flow limits in the valve, in the blowback department, in the blowback section of the valve. And so, because you don't want this thing to kick back too hard, and you don't want it to not cock the gun, so you had to adjust this every time you wanted to play with the gun. So, yeah, anyway, that you just have features upon features that are stacked in ridiculous ways. Like I said, the fingers, the feed fingers, were marketed as a feature, but as I said, it's really one of those times when a flaw is marketed as a feature. You know, if the gun was designed well and didn't use this dumb blowback close bolt system, then you wouldn't need them. So it's really like a response to how badly the gun works. That being said, these things are fun. They kick quite a bit. They're not the most smooth gun because they're a blowback and they got a big heavy hammer. This gun is reasonably quick. Not really truly fast. The trigger is kind of odd shaped, but you kind of, besides this little finger here, it's really just kind of like a Sith trigger, right? So you can kind of walk it on the bottom part. And it works pretty good. The grip is comfortable. It's weighted well. The side feed is not that bad. It takes autococker threads, so you can use it with your regular barrels and loaders and all that jazz. These things nowadays, you can find these for under $100 all day. There are some really nice splash anno ones and some later ones. The 2.0 is the last model. I would recommend, if you want to buy one, to get that one, because that will have all of the updates. Everything else will need all those updates, otherwise it won't work for shit. I think this is a 1.5. I think Kevin said it was a 1.5. So, but yeah, it runs at relatively low pressure. I think it's like 300 or so, something like that. Yeah, be a fun one to get into all sorts of weird features of the gun if you wanted to do that, because like I said, you can find these all day under $100. the really nice ones maybe go for like 150. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a hunk of junk engineering-wise, but it has all of those good, unique features that I really like about these old-school guns. Solutions to problems that were created by their very nature of the gun. So, it's a charming little piece. Fun to play with, and shoots pretty good. It's a unique experience to shoot a closed bolt spider, I'll give you that. It's not like shooting a regular spider, and it's not like shooting an autococker either. It's just a very unique gun, and I'm very thankful for Kevin, again, QMTO. Go subscribe to him as well if you aren't. Yeah, and we will see you again on a future episode of the Old School Guns Tour. Thanks.